welcome back to the show, all you crazy cyberpunks and retro nerds. I'm your lovable host, Tommy the Hammer. Today is kind of a special video. I don't usually do things of this nature, but recently I watched a movie and I felt compelled to go back to this film and take a second look and then give you guys, my ever faithful audience, my thoughts on said film. What are we going to be checking out today? Well, none other than the new horror movie, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, this film is based on the prolific book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, from back in the day. This collection of horror stories is prolific. Me and my brother, a long time ago, used to rent this book at the local library constantly. We loved all the grim stories and sadistic looking artwork from said book. And that's why it's notorious. The prospects of a horror movie dipping into these tales is really not out of the question. As a matter of fact, when I first heard that they were gonna make a movie based off of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I was thrilled about this. There is a lot of things that I want to discuss when it comes down to this movie. But first, I think you guys should check out the trailer to the flick, peep that shit, and when we get back, you're gonna know my opinion on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
For years, the people in this town told lies about me. They locked me away, called me a monster. Now, they will get the monster they all deserve.
Sarah Bellows' book. When the stories write themselves and it all comes alive. Who came up with all this sick stuff?
The jangling man is coming.
I'm afraid that we woke something up.
Sarah Bellows is a myth.
Do you know what you have done? You made her angry.
You don't read the book. The book reads you. I'm afraid I'm gonna die now.
First, guys, I want to touch on what I liked about this movie. Mainly the special effects. All of the makeup on the creatures in this flick is amazing. And I thought that some of the monsters in this movie were just downright terrifying. So that's definitely a strong suit. I thought the overall look to the film was serviceable enough, and the mood and music in this film was actually spot on and really creepy. So those are the things that I actually liked about this movie. But now let's talk about what I didn't like about the film. First and foremost, the narrative. Initially, I thought this was kind of a creative idea to take the stories from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and integrate them into a grander scheme, a grander picture, a larger narrative. But at the end of the day, when I was done with the movie, it kind of left me wanting. I feel like if it was separate stories told like they were in the book, that the movie would have actually just been fleshed out a hell of a lot better. So outside of the poor narrative, I really wasn't crazy about the characters in this movie. In my opinion, I feel like they're way too young for the roles. If you have an anthology horror film, you can have some stories involving kids, some stories involving adults. By the end of the film, I thought a lot of the characters were dull, annoying, and rather vapid. Which brings me to the special effects. Now, I loved the prosthetics used in this movie. The scarecrow at the beginning of the film is fucking freaky, and I really like the way the director executed that moment. However, guys, there is a shit ton of off-putting and really bad looking CGI in this film. But this film right here is rated PG-13, and I get the feeling that's why the director went in that direction. They wanted to keep it kind of tame. And that's not something I could say about the old book, guys. Back in the day when me and my brother would read these stories, I always visualized them in kind of an R-rated sense. So not only are the actors kind of boring and the special effects smothered by bad CGI, the overall film and the overall narrative just kind of leaves you wanting, and that's kind of disappointing, guys. You know, those stories from back in the day were just notorious, and I hold them very close and near and dear to my heart because I used to read them constantly growing up. Had the director gone for a hard R-rated horror movie and skipped all the bad CGI and interjected even more hands-on prosthetics with some blood squibs and some more gruesome moments and went for that anthology horror format, well, then I feel like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark could have been a winner. As it is, this movie is kind of disappointing, and it left me wanting. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about it for days after I watched it because of how disappointing it was. So, that all being said, guys, out of 10 stars, I think I can only award the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark maybe a 6.5 out of 10.